Hello, I'm Tim Jones, spiritual advisor, purpose advocate, and motivational poet. I'm the host of Getting Clear with Tim Jones. Welcome to episode 40. This week I sat down with my friend and brother, Pastor Bobby Lyons, to talk about manhood and the up-and-coming conference, Who and What is Man? Bob has a very powerful testimony that he shared about God's redemption and about God's call on his life to serve and minister to men. Listen in on our conversation. All right, so I got my friend and my brother, Pastor Minister Bobby Lyons. Me and this brother go back 20 years, man.
20 plus, baby.
20 plus. Yes,
20
sir.
plus.
Yes, sir. In ministry, man. And I tell you, this brother was there for me in probably one of the most difficult times of my life as a man. And he and his family were there for me and my family. And so we know a thing or two about brotherhood.
Yeah.
And therefore we know a thing or two about manhood. He, like myself, worked with young people. His more extensive than mine, but working with young people, man, teens and adolescents, and helping them to just to gain a sense of balance in their thinking as they navigate, the difficult waters of today. They see things and hear things and do things that we didn't see, hear, or do. And so they need assistance from those who've gone before them. And so that's something that we both taken pride in doing. I would show up as the motivational poet. He would show up as Uncle Bobby, and we just do our thing, man.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to have him on here with me tonight. We're going to be talking again about the up and coming conference, Who and What is Man? And he is one of the co-sponsors of it. And we're going to dive into just the heart of, why this is necessary. Why is it important? Why is it necessary or vital, I like to say? And why is it vital now? How does it relate to the future? What impact will what we're doing now with men and adolescents and young boys, what impact would that have on the future? These are some of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and let Bob say hi and give you just a little bit of a introduction on who he is. I gave you my connection with him. All right, Bob. Thank you, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me clear this here. All right. Okay, I'm Bobby Lyons. Like Tim said, we go back 20 plus years. And it's a joy and a privilege to be with him again. I was looking at emails before I came in. He sent me a message in 2013 and 2014. Same email. Just working with kids and doing his motivational poetry.
Yeah.
And just, it's been a blessing, y'all, riding out like this. And just have a love and a passion for young people forever, for as long as I can remember. And I've always desired to be an example for young people because it was difficult growing up when my father died 40 plus years ago. And I said, well, I know what it is and what it feels like not to have a dad.
How old were you when your dad passed?
7, 8 years old.
Wow.
Almost 50 years now.
Okay.
1974. So
wow.
May made 50 years
Wow.
that our dad passed. And so having, I was a middle boy out of 7 kids. And so I've had a wonderful Christian mom, but an older brother like Peter. And you guys know that Peter didn't play fair. And Peter made quick decisions. Mm-hmm. And Peter cut things off. You got me? Mm-hmm. And so that is the type of oldest brother that I still have to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And so the impact of losing a father, it positioned me to have to make a choice early on. If I wanted to be like my oldest brother, he's a strong alpha male, definite decision maker. Then I had a Christian mom, took us to church every week, Sunday school, vacation Bible school, and so I became the Christian man because of her leadership. That I became the business entrepreneur because of my brother, my dad, my grandfather, and trying to figure out and how to navigate that. It was difficult
Mm-hmm.
because me and my youngest brother, Pastor Ray, who you guys will meet later, our decision making was challenged because we never had to make them. And it affected Mr. Bobby later in my marriage and my adult life because my mother made all the decisions. My brother enforced all of those decisions. And
Mm.
so it affected a male's perspective on decision making because if you have a dominant characteristic male that's doing things, the boys underneath, it does not empower you to make decisions.
Mm.
Your decisions are empowered by trial and error and choice.
Yes, sir.
And so that, man, that was one of my reasons for working with kids and really trying to empower them and pray that they'll understand who they are. And
Mm.
so God bless me to hundreds and thousands here in Orlando, Orange County, across our state, upwards to 500,000 kids. But then there's the transformation that happened in my life, and Pastor Tim and I will get into that. But listen, I'm glad to be here tonight, and I'm glad to be sharing with my brother tonight.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I was thinking about when you were over at Meadowbrook. My
Yes,
kid just coming over there then, you know.
yes,
those,
yes,
those are good days, good old days
yes,
right there, boy.
yes. That's
Uh,
a listen. Meadowbrook Middle School. I was at the director of the Faith Initiative for the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice. Our
mhm.
OPS monies ran out. Valerie Maxwell, shout out Miss Valerie Maxwell, my
Yeah,
friend and colleague. She was the principal at that time.
yes.
Called me and she said these were, Uncle Bobby, hey, I got a slot over here for you. I didn't know what safe and drug-free schools were. I didn't know what a safe coordinator was. So she pulled me in a position. It's like a social work and a prevention specialist in one.
Mm.
And so I came to work for her. Then I realized I had another boss over her at the district that I had to report directly to. And I'm like, but the blessing came, y'all. I was given a grant and to write a program called the Young Men of Promise.
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
y'all, I've done state work with the Urban League, minority male intervention and prevention services under Governor Child. So all my training was done at the Urban League. I now move into the school system and I get the exact same opportunity to create inside of the
Mm.
school system. And
Wow.
that was about 25 or so years ago when
Hmm.
we founded the Young Men of Promise. After having that pilot, I took that after 2 years and developed a mentoring company for about 16 years, developing mentoring services for Black and brown boys in public school settings. So
Hmm.
that's back at our Meadowbrook days when we
Yeah.
began many, many years ago.
Yeah. 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 So this the men of iron now,
Yes,
right?
yes,
That's
yes,
that's where we are now.
yes.
How did you transition to the men of iron?
It was hard, brother. It was hard. Uh, Listen, Tim knew me as brother, as Bobby, and the pseudonym Uncle Bobby came along as I grew as a speaker because many years ago, C.R. Smith and his wife Estelle told me, you're going to be the answer man. And then Mary Rayborn, a colleague at the school board, said, Bobby, you're going to be the answer man for so many people.
Hmm.
And so from my childhood on, it was almost like I was the uncle, the favorite uncle. I had fun. I kept kids. I played with them. I cooked. Everybody made me babysit. And so the name stuck, and Uncle Bobby Speaks took on a nature of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Then from that, a drama production that came later in years. But guys, my work with men simultaneously developed at night. God gave me insight to work with churches and men's fellowships first. And then he gave me the methodology of transforming traditional men's fellowships into men's ministries. And it was hard. It was hard. Tim and I served at one church together, and that was hard. I can't go into detail,
Yeah.
but when you transform a fellowship, in my understanding, we ate, uh,
Mm-hmm.
we had bowling, we had outings, but
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't a whole lot of ministry going on.
Right. Right.
And so I had to transform that into men's ministry, and we had hard issues. And Dr. Ed Cole was the father of the men's movement, and Dr. Ed Cole trained with Reverend in Sanford, Florida, Murphy, Pastor Murphy.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
deceased now, but I was able to see and meet Ed Cole before he died, and
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Murphy was my uplink for years. And so Dr. Cole taught us that we are male by birth, but we are men by choice. And that
Yeah.
stuck with me. He
Yeah.
said, look now, we are male by birth, but we are men by choice. And
Mm-hmm.
so that stuck with me, and my years of developing men happened. Men of Iron came at a transition of my life. Guys, I was in a I had served God for so long, and my marriage hit a course of separation, and pending divorces on the table. We had gone through just about everything as a couple, separated several times. My understanding of marriage is a choice. So my choice, I stuck and stayed. I wasn't going anywhere. My wife, at that particular time, left for the third time. And I said, God, what can I do? And he just told me to wait, to stick, to stay, to wait. And guys, I did everything within my power. Listen, Bobby is not a perfect man. So don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Marriages are hard. They're difficult. You have to work. You have to put time in. With me, I can tell you me. I am an eternal optimist, and I was a terrible procrastinator. And so what got me was, in hopes that things will get better, my optimism would say it's going to get better. Things are going to work out. Things don't work out if you don't put in the time and effort.
Yeah. Yeah. Got to
You
work them
can
out.
hope all day and pray, but if you don't put the time and effort in,
That is
things
true.
begin to unravel and fall apart. So, in the midst of building my school programs, my boys' programs, my company was hit. And we met people through the school systems in partnerships. Guys, I didn't vet the people. I just thought help was coming along to help reach these boys. Guys, I met people and partnered with people that took advantage of my relationships in the schools. And as a result, Mr. Bobby had to cease and desist all work. Imagine now, I started programs in the school on my own. I created my own niche. I walked into over 100 schools on my name,
Mm-hmm.
and I created partnerships to allow me to speak to kids. Didn't get a whole lot of money from the schools. This
Right.
was futures. I was
Yeah.
putting in time, and I had the University of Central Florida getting ready to do a study on the group-based mentoring with minority males. And
Mm.
I just went to Atlanta with the kids. I borrowed money to go on a trip to take them to explore colleges. With incoming back, I was arrested, and charged with fraud. And I said, what are you guys talking about? I have $1.89 in my school account. I said, where is the money? Where's the paper trail? Show me. And it was, Tim, it was a tough time because remember now I'm going through a separation, a pending divorce that I'm dealing with daily, praying to God as to what to do, how to deal with it. And so now my livelihood, the thing that I love, children, I'm like, and they said, you can't talk. I said, I got 150 kids at all these schools. I created a network, brother. The words start coming, the things start coming. And my brother tried to warn me, he said, Bob, all those hundreds of people you helped, they won't believe you because they will say you're too good to be true. Because you helped people, you paid it forward, you gave, you didn't have any money and you helped. And so now, because of the beautiful, how can I say this, brother? The beautiful hue of your skin, they're going to believe others before they believe you, knowing you've helped them and their children. Sure enough. And brother, I just went, I said, God, it's on you now. Went through that process. Tim, I was in for a few days, just waiting and praying. And I found a Catholic Bible. Y'all hear me? A Catholic Bible. I said, okay, Lord, let your spirit come through. Let your spirit come through. I didn't lose my sense of humor. Yeah. But he used me within that cell at 33rd to minister to young men. Right there. And Tim, we were outside on rec, and this young man from Ivy Lane, he said, can I call you Unc? And so I just started smiling. I said, sure. He had a situation. They took his time, and I said, son, you're going to be all right. You're a short timer. You're driving with a suspended license. You'll be fine. You got a good job. You just keep your head up. But why are you so calm? I said, well, it's no use of crying here. I'm here because God apparently has something for me to do. And I said, the only thing that I'm worried about is my kids. I'm going to be fine. Went through that, Tim. Got favor with the system there. And I did the time there. Then I was released and sent home, relocated to Brevard County, arrested the second time, same charge. So back to back. And so, but the second time was better. Let me tell you why. It sounds funny, but tell you what happened, guys. I went through the hurt, the pain, the embarrassment, the crying, all that the very first time. All right. And what I said was, God, do whatever you got to do. I got to that resolve. So I knew the second was impending. And so they came to my family's house in Brevard. My nephew said, Uncle Bobby, da, da, da. I said, okay. I went and brushed my teeth, put on my clothes. I said, I'm ready. They said, hold on, sir. Hold on. I said, no, I know you're coming to get me. Here's my ID. And the gentleman in the car said, yes, Mr. Lyons. I went to the police department. This young man, he was so afraid. He started talking to me. He said, can I talk to you? I said, sure. He said, Mr. Lyons, why are you so calm? I said, you're just starting, right? He said, yes, sir. I said, here, you got a tough job, right? He said, yes, sir, I do. I said, look, you're going to be a great officer if you learn to treat people with dignity and respect. You treat people like you want to be treated, and you'll go a long way. It's not us against them. I said, you know, I trained some of my colleagues in Orlando Police Department and the sheriff's and truancy interventions. I train men on the front lines to show them it's not us against them. I took Orlando police officers in a pickup basketball game with neighborhood kids, and I did a workshop with the chief of police back then, John Mina. Now he's the sheriff. And we showed them that both of us have moms, we have dads, We have kids, we have families, we have feelings, we have emotions. So I showed them. We had a brown paper bag. We kept pulling out things. We had more like than we had different. And I
Mm.
used that brown paper bag in 100 or so different types of workshops on showing them we have likes more than differences. And so Tim and 33rd Street Jail, after I got sentenced, God spoke to me. He said, Bobby, you've been serving me a long time. Here's the funny thing, he said, I had to get your attention because you're going to get lost in working with them juveniles. All right, your work with men and ministry is a far greater ministry. I'm in 33rd Street Jail talking to God like this. Hey, I've been working with men for 22 years at night. And he said, the greater need is to work with men full time. Man, I cried. I said, what about my kids? What about them teenagers? What about them knuckleheads? He said, the greater ministry, Tim, is for the men. He said, Bobby, you've been dealing with iron sharpening iron. All right. So now your ministry is men of iron, rebuilding men and restoring godly men. He said, this time you've built so many ministries and churches. You've helped prepare ministers and pastors. Now, this is your ministry. All right, this is yours. I'm going to prove you. All right. And I'm going to try you. So look, you now will go and set up Men of Iron ministries in chapters around Florida first and abroad. He said, this is the platform that I'm going to use to change life. So, brother, he began to speak. Tim, we called a Bible study. Guess how many men signed up? Take a wild guess. Think scripture.
12.
33, baby.
33.
33 men
33 men.
signed up for a Bible study and a prayer meeting when I got to 33. We shut the entire unit down.
Wow.
So the birth of Men of Iron came at 33rd Street Ministry. And the favor of God has been flowing ever since. I was a little saddened because I thought God was taking my youth away from me. But he said, no, you're moving upward. And I'm elevating you. So now you're going to have to train men to do what you did with the team. Because he said, it's Men of Iron, but guess what's under? You got young Men of Iron.
Young men.
You got young lions. You created 2 mentoring academies. So you still have the flow to your boys. But you got to train other men to do that. Because I've been challenged. He said, you can't do it. You're in a different mode. You physically can, but I need for you for oversight and to develop men. Tim, God said, do a newsletter. I had all of those men in 33rd, names, address, families, praying, and I saw many afters. Then I went to work release. Work release, they reduced. Brother, I didn't tell you about the testimony. Uncle Bobby was facing 56 years. 56 years. And I said, God, what's going on? And they said, well, if you can talk to them about what? The lawyers kept saying, well, Mr. Bobby, you should have been making at least 100,000 six figures. I said, look, I've been working social services and preaching my whole life. Yes, I have a business degree and a counseling degree, but it didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
And I got fussed at about in jail telling me how much money I should have been making. So kept going, get into work release. The sentence was reduced, guys, from 55 years to 38 years to 25. In the last year, sentencing was 5 years. I prayed. I laid before God. The Chief Justice said, he stopped court. He said, look, Mr. Lyons, 5 years is good. You need to consider that. The comedian in me wanted to say, you need to consider that. You know, I've been to jail. I've been to jail as a guest speaker, not as a resident. I was able to leave and go home. And so it was strange. The lawyer said, don't say anything. I said, but why is he talking to me like that? I said, I'm not a guest. I'm not a resident here. And so the man tried to send me away for 5 years. All right, because he felt it was a good deal. So you know me, I went to prayer, fasted and prayed for that week before sentencing. The day of sentencing, I'm waiting for my brother, my family, my fiance at the time to come in. The elevators were jammed. They couldn't get up. We're negotiating through court doors. Tim, the man came out, Mr. Lyons, they reduced conspiracy. They reduced this. They reduced this, but they're going to add on at the end your probation, because what it is a system of money.
Sure.
And I found out quick. The man told me, he said, it really doesn't matter if you're guilt or innocence. Those guys that got to the courts first, that were contributing parties, they got the best deals. You were an example of, because you're too good to be true. You served and helped Black and brown boys. You were giving them opportunities out, and the enemy came and got you, and we have to make examples because you wanted them. And so, brother, that's how Men of Iron began. And God has been sending these last 5 years men from all walks of life, because he said to me in 33rd, this journey, you will be meeting men from all walks of life. And your job now is to rebuild men and to restore godly manhood. He said that may look very different ways, and you worked before with the young people and mentoring men. So now, Bobby, you're going to have to really work hard at pulling men, rescuing men, and pointing them back to me. So that's what we've been doing, brother.
Wow.
Just trying to point them back to God. And, that's where we are right now.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's quite a testimony, man.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it I knew, some of it I didn't know. But I tell you what, here's what we know. We know that God is into redemption.
Yes.
Everything about man is about redemption.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so anytime we find ourselves in any certain place, circumstance, situation, whether physically, mentally, or emotionally, redemption is always not just an opportunity. It's an objective of God. It's always his objective is for us to be redeemed.
Yes.
And so I'm thinking about, when you said that the Lord said the greater ministry was on man. And, in our minds, right, we especially when you deal with teenagers, you deal with them like you've always dealt with them, right? But when we were younger, we were closer to their ages than we are now.
Yes. We're cross generational.
So the reality of that is that the distance between us and them now, there's several things that constitute that distance, or what could be a disconnect.
Yes.
One of those is generation is layers. It's layers.
Yes.
And as we move up and as we move on, we move to another stage, right?
Yes.
Those who were where we are now, they're at another stage.
Absolutely.
And there's somebody where we were, because it's all layers, right? And it's God's design.
Yes.
Okay? And so when you move to the next stage or the next level, not only do you take on the mantle of that next level, but you take on the responsibility now to do what you were doing for the ones that were one level beneath you then. Now you got to do it for the ones that are one level beneath you now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so we don't put those things together in our head. We've been working with kids, and we just want to keep doing that.
Absolutely.
So that when you said that, I thought, wow, that's amazing, because God understands, number one, redemption, and number two, generations.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Generations.
Absolutely.
And so we have to keep that in mind. Now, and with that from that generation standpoint, this Who and What is Man conference,
Yes.
what you've been doing with Men of Iron. Talk to me about the future and and how the generation to come will benefit from what we're doing and how they would suffer if we don't do it.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, Tim, uh, there has been an outright attack on manhood, and there the identity issue, the image issue, what is man, and how do we define what a real man is? And we got to go back to what Dr. Cole said. We are born male, but we are men by choice. That choice is, we go back to Genesis 1 on what God said who man was. I have made you in my image. After my likeness, I've made you into the man. And so if we don't capture now and redefine that for our boys especially, we'll have weak men. All right. We won't have godly men because they won't walk in their rightful place by design.
That's right.
And so the culture, it's critical because the culture now is crying out for real men. Our women have been forced into a place of leadership and authority. And so as God develops, one of the challenges are, as God develops and rebuilds men and godly men, what happens is a shifting of our homes changes now. And it comes with a fight. Because like David, we abdicated authority to try to make peace. We abdicated authority. Don't laugh at this, for a peace. All right. And so as we did that, the woman now rises and assumes authority. And in all the work that you've done and I've done with kids, whoever spoke the loudest, the children followed. Unfortunately, in our culture, we have, I want to say this nicely as I can, a lot of our mothers were forced into single parenthood. They were forced to lead. They were forced to take on roles. And so now as we break that curse and generational curse, as we break those barriers down, we have to reach now to the boys and our children and to strengthen them from inside out. I saw a little boy today, and his mother was babying him. His dad came around, he straightened up. So you need the balance of male and female parenting.
Mm-hmm.
You need that balance.
Mm-hmm.
If there is no man, where does the masculinity come from? And so the mindset now is, since the 1970s, I don't want to go too many stats, but I can show you the decline and the fall of urban families. We can see and show you the data. We can show you when the fathers were taken out of the house starting in the early 1960s and replaced by governmental aid and funding to pay you to have kids, to live in substandard housing, to receive a check. All right. And so the government now becomes a surrogate father.
Yeah.
All right. And the woman now takes on a leadership role in a less than, how can I say this? I can't, in a single-headed household, and so now from the 1960s, there have been a decline.
Yeah.
And so what it does to the children now, the imbalance of male and female children. Boys don't want to go outside and play. Boys are supposed to go outside to play, to hunt. God has created the male species to hunt and gather and to bring back. We have boys, grown men acting like boys, waiting on women to go out to get and bring back. All right. And so that creates an imbalance in our homes, and it creates a weakness in the male species because the women are crying out, I don't need a man.
Yeah.
And so that's counterproductive if God created family in the union. All right. So you need the family to procreate, but you need a balance there. Whereas people then begin to take their rightful places. So the man is the cry to the culture is crying out to the man. I need a man. I'm searching for a man. And so that man has to be the godly man.
Hmm.
So the godly man comes in to redeem, there's your word, and rescue his family.
Mm-hmm.
After he redeems and rescues, then he can restore them. The family now has to be restored by the saving of that man.
Yeah.
God took me through a process like Joseph, dropped me down in a low place. I saw everything that I could see. I saw where I came from. I saw the family. I saw the coat of many colors of thousands of people. But he pulled me out of a pit, but he still put me in a place to work and to see the potentialities. But he allowed Joseph to be lied on, to go down again in order to be elevated up. He had to feel the pressure of lies, the pressure of deceit, the pressure of not having anyone on his side but God. So now God redeems him, and then he restores him.
Restores him.
He put him in a place and a position to help his own family. And that's what God is doing for each one of us.
Yeah.
We've been through some things.
Yeah.
But God's hand never left us. And now we're in places to empower men, to build men, and to redeem man. So that's what I believe. Now the culture is crying out. We need godly men, godly fathers to step up.
Yeah.
And to teach manhood all over again. Because there's no foundation of man, husband, father now. Because if kids are being raised by TV and games, and unfortunately, you and I came up in a time where we had 3 channels. And Bud Hedinger came on at 11 o'clock after the news, 11:30. Do you know where your children are? Then he'll say that the TV go off, number snow. Then the advent of MTV comes in.
Yep.
And so the Bible talks about that every generation is wiser and weaker at the same time. You're wiser to technology and the world systems, but weaker to the things of God. Because if you can go and Google versus taking an Encyclopedia Britannica, like we had to go through, and decipher and dig and write papers and just get frustrated because everything is running together.
Yeah.
Just because it's easier doesn't make it better.
Yeah.
And so we have to really get down, brother. We got to get down with teaching how to be men again, how to get dirty, meaning go out and do what you got to do, because we misinterpret scripture so much.
Yeah.
I got to be the provider. What does that mean? Providing is more than making money.
It is. Oh my! You
got to provide an atmosphere for your house.
Yes.
You got to provide peace for your wife and kids.
Yes.
You got to provide the autonomy and the freedom for the Spirit of God to come and minister and sit in that house. Providing is more than I got to go and make money. I'm the man. No. If you got to say you're the man, you ain't the man. You ain't the man.
You got to tell somebody.
You're the caveman.
Yeah.
And so we have to, as we restore men, Tim, we got to reteach, retrain, and retool. As you, as a personal development person, you understand the importance of reminding men.
Yes.
Hey, buddy, when the last time you took on a date? When the last time you just called her because it was Tuesday? When the last time you spoke life into your daughter? All right, so we have to send friendly reminders and form support groups for men. And that's one of the reasons Men of Iron came along, to build little tribes, all right, to help you and to come in. Let's have fellowship time. Let's have time with developing men. So now the who and what is man, we're developing both sides of that man.
Yeah.
That spiritual man, but yet that practical man. How to pay your bills.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll serve the Lord. All right. When you serve your wife.
Hmm.
Scripture says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul?
Is this so?
You can get the money, Bill Gates, but you can die and the money's still here.
Yes, sir.
Was it Steve Jobs?
Yeah, jobs
Jobs?
going on.
He checked out, but the money's still here.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, as men of God and godly men, we have to walk so that we can attract other men. Boy,
Yeah.
Miles Monroe said something. I'm glad we're on tonight. Miles Monroe said, many people in business teach us to chase the money. He said, no. And I love it. He said, no. You make yourself indispensable. And you know how we, with the neighborhood boys, you mean invaluable? We don't know indispensable. And so you become indispensable by being the best employee, by having the knowledge and increasing knowledge, building yourself like a commodity.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, glory to God.
Mm-hmm.
And as you become indispensable, money then will find you.
You know what he said that I like, that I love many things.
Yes.
But he said, when the world is in crisis, they should come looking for you.
For you. For you. Tim, this was just a few days ago, and I said, Lord, you're talking to me. Because as a husband and a father, we have bills.
Yeah.
I said, come on, Lord. I'm in my fourth quarter now. And I had to go through a great transformation. I said, God, that was painful for me. Tim, I was telling stories for years on how a boy from the project, 7 brothers and sisters, 2-pound premature, learning difficulties, never went to jail. Never arrested. I went to speak at jails. I did programs in jails. I knew 7 police chiefs and 4 sheriffs here in Orlando, back and going back. Then them silver bracelets found me.
Isn't that something?
Whoo! And just sharing that with boys.
We're going to change up this testimony just a little bit.
Yeah. I'm like, hey.
My God. But man, that is such a wonderful. See, that's why, for those who are watching, that's why we do the things that we do. You have to have something to live for, so that when you die, you don't die for nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. And so making sure that we impact our own generation and those generations that will be coming after us becomes our assignment. And whatever uniqueness that God has given you, whatever passions he's given you, whatever built-in undeniable truths that he's built into you, right? As you were talking, Bobby, I was hearing some of your built-in undeniable truths. That's the stuff that's been a part of you from day one. Even before you knew what it was a part of you. You were operating in it. You know, those are things that God has given us as really as unfair advantages in the world. Because when you really begin to utilize that, nothing can stop you from getting to or going where God has called you to be. You know, it's just a matter of time and the journey that the things that you're going to encounter along the way that will actually help to make you who you are. Because the destiny part of it is really not about where you end up. It's about who you become along the way. So that you will be who you're supposed to be when you get wherever it is that you're going. Yeah. And so it's so vital now. So this who and what is man conference, so vital. I was thinking as you were talking, the female is a man too.
Yes.
It's just a female man.
Yes.
And so
a man with a womb.
A man with a womb, right?
Yeah.
And so the same directive that was given to man was given to man, period. So if the male man moves out of his place, by
Yes.
default, the
Yes.
female man will move into it because she's man too.
She's
And
man too.
she's man too. And we're
Yes.
still responsible for that family,
Yes.
And that's what's most important to God is family.
Yes.
Not church,
No.
family.
No. No.
Okay? Family. That was ordained before the church was even necessary.
Yes.
And I was sharing with my wife the other day. I said, listen, Isaiah said unto us, a child will be born,
Yes.
but a son will be
Give.
given.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you my family
Mm.
so that you can understand how important it is to me. Number
Mm-hmm.
one. And number two, so that you can see how to how to get back to the original intent. It's
Yes.
family. You have to restore the family. That's why the last thing recorded from Old Testament, close of
Mm-hmm.
the Old Testament, before the New
Turning.
Testament, to
Turning.
turn the hearts of the fathers and the sons.
Yes.
Family, man.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what God. That's what matters most to God.
Yes.
So if we're going to be able to live as wheat among the tares,
Yes.
we're gonna have to understand how to restore family.
Yes. Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and it must begin with the mailman.
Yes.
It just has to.
I
It
agree.
all it,
I
it
agree.
starts and stops right there. And so this teaching, this training, this reimagining, God said to us in a prayer meeting in
Mm-hmm.
2018. I began to hear this word reimagine in my ear.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started singing the word reimagine. And I didn't have no other words except that word. So we just sang
Mm-hmm.
that word reimagine for about 20 minutes, right? We didn't know what was coming. We didn't know 2020 was going to happen.
Oh Lord. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We didn't
Yeah.
know the whole world was going to have to reimagine,
Yeah.
right? We didn't know that. But God began to put that in our spirits even then. And so we have to recognize, and this is for those who maybe you haven't reimagined yet. Okay. You still have an opportunity. And not only is it an opportunity, it's actually a mandate.
Wow.
Because if you don't reimagine, you're going to find yourself in a situation, you and your family, where you have very limited options and choices.
Wow.
Now that's the word of the Lord right there.
My. Very
So
limited.
we have to reimagine. We have to reimagine our identity. We
Yes.
have to reimagine how we do things. How we. Well, here's the thing: when you reimagine how you see yourself, it
Mm-hmm.
automatically changes how you see everything else.
Yes. You're absolutely right.
Automatically,
You're right.
right? And so that's why, guys, it starts with the male man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm
Yeah.
saying all
Yeah.
this to drive that point home. You know, if you are a male man or a male man, would you direct them to the Who and What Is Man conference that will be taking place on July 27th
Yes.
from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. I'll have information. I'll put the flyer up at the end of this video. We'll have information, registration information in there. But it is vital to the future of our families,
Yes.
of our communities, right? Stop looking so much and putting so much weight into what's happening politically and what the government is doing. They're doing what they're doing. If you read the Bible, it's just coming to pass. That's all. The Bible's just coming to pass. No, focus on where you can make the greatest impact. And that is in the redemption and the restoration, the reconnection of your family, right? Talk to your mamas, talk to your daddies, right? Get their stories. Mamas and daddies, tell your children the whole truth. Don't hold it
Yes.
back. Tell them
Yes.
all of it.
Might as well.
Tell them all of it. Don't let them find it out from somewhere else. Tell them the truth,
Yeah.
right? Because it becomes your responsibility to communicate to them the truth that they need so that they can be who they're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
you know. So I said all that. Thank you for letting me get on that soapbox for just a moment. Bob, thank you so much, man.
Oh, thank you for the invite tonight, Tim.
Yeah, man.
It's
Yeah,
indeed a pleasure and a
great.
privilege.
Always, always, and we're doing some things, and we're gonna keep doing what we're doing. You know, God is urging us to even go harder, do more, right?
Yes,
He's urging us to that's the weight of the mantles that we're carrying right now, because we understand that it's vital. It's
it's
life,
absolutely, it's
you
life
know,
changing.
life depend. It's life
Yes,
changing. It is life changing. So again, um, who, what is man conference? We'll get you information if you want to know more about some of the things that we've talked about, some of the things that Minister Pastor Bobby has shared. You know, some of the programs. You want to know how to connect. If you got family who are in the area, in the Leesburg area, right?
yes.
Yeah, in the
Leesburg
Leesburg area,
and
that want
Orlando
to
and
connect,
Central Florida. Yeah,
and Central Florida, period.
yeah.
Where you want to connect a family member, a man, a young man that you know is struggling, you know, hit us up, man. Contact me. You know, you can contact me, Getting Clear with Tim Jones, on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You know, get in contact with me. Get us the name of that person. We'll get somebody. We'll get somebody to talk with them, to help them, help to develop them. And we're going to be talking more about God's economy for the 21st century and up and coming episodes, because it's going to be very important what system you are plugged into.
All
Because
right.
I got news for you. Babylon will fall.
Yes, sir.
And if Babylon falls,
Yes,
when
sir.
Babylon falls, if you're plugged into Babylon, you fall too.
You fall with it.
But I came to tell you that God has a system. God has it. He said, I would, beloved, that you all prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. God has an economy. He said, don't worry about what you're going to eat and where you're
Right.
going to sleep and what you're going to wear. And don't worry about that stuff. Seek first the
The
kingdom
kingdom.
of God and all of the kingdom of God and its righteousness. And all these things will be added to you. See, that's a part, that thinking is a part of God's economy. And it's more than just that. It's more than just the scriptures. It's actually a way of thinking and seeing yourself and your family, and beginning to direct the attention and the mindset, because that's really the government is really here. How
Yes.
we think.
How you
Beginning
think?
to develop and shape the government of how we think in a way that aligns with God's economy. When we do that, now that's the greatest investment you can make.
Yeah. You're
That's the
absolutely right.
greatest one.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you again, Bobby, for joining us, and thank you all
Thank you,
for
brother.
watching us here tonight. I want to, as I always love to do, bid you farewell by encouraging you to live full so that you can die empty. You
Wow.
want to make sure that you are finished
Yeah.
when you finish. Good night, everybody. I hope you were inspired by Bob's testimony, and I want to encourage you to attend the Who and What is Man conference. It will be on Saturday, July 27th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and this will be at Liberty Baptist Church, 744 North Dean Road, Orlando, Florida, 32825. That's Liberty Baptist Church, 744 North Dean Road, Orlando, Florida, 32825. There will be registration links attached to this video. I want to encourage you to come. Invite every man you know, young man, old man. This is a very important time and a very important conference. So thank you again for joining, and we'll see you next time on Getting Clear with Tim Jones.